Social media is a huge part of teenagers' lives, and parents may wonder, how is it affecting our kids day to day? Well, a Wired family created the 2018 Student Social Media Use Survey, and managing partner of a Wired family, Steve Smith, is back with us today to talk about the results. Good to see you, Steve.
Good to see you, Sheila.
So I know you want to eventually talk to about 10,000 kids.
Right.
Why do you want to do this, and who did you start with?
Well, the reason really is to kind of better understand what kids are doing. And the reality is, if you're in Chicago, kids are doing things a little bit differently than they are in Cincinnati. In fact, if you were to look at Indianapolis and compare it to Cincinnati, the apps that kids in Indy are using are a little different. I mean, they're all using Snapchat and Instagram and you know, the big three,
right,
including Snapchat. But when you get down into the texting apps, it's a little different. But, you know, we live in Cincinnati, so I wanted to find out what are kids doing in Cincinnati so parents can kind of better control what their children are doing. Okay, so
who did you ask when you went out to start this survey?
Right, so we went to public schools, private schools, Catholic schools and that, and basically we're looking from grades 5 through 12.
Okay,
and you know,
so we're talking as young as 10 years old.
Yeah, because you know the average age a child gets a phone today is 10.
Is 10.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's where you started. So one of the questions you asked, and of course we don't have time for all of them, but these are some good ones that we're going to talk about. Has the use of social media ever made you feel sad or poorly about yourself?
Yeah.
And we know sometimes it makes us feel poorly, but with kids, I bet it's worse.
Absolutely. So, for example, females, if you look at young ladies, 54% of them said yes. Now again, this is grades 5 through 12. If you were to look at 5, it's a little different, it's a little lower. When you get up to 12, it's a little higher, right? Then you look at young men, it's 28%.
So girls feel bad more often than boys?
No question about it. And incidentally, I did a small national survey of 200 just women. 80% of them said social media at times makes them feel bad.
What effect do you think that has on these girls?
I think it has a huge effect, particularly when you take a look at the statistics throughout America on children from ages 12 to 17 and the depression and anxiety and other mental health issues. It's 13% for boys, it's 36% for young ladies. And young ladies carry an incredible burden in our society, right? They have to look a certain way, they have to act a certain way. Media puts these stresses on them.
Yep.
And it begins to show itself about age 12.
Wow. Okay, so bullying, we all know as parents, is a huge issue. So you ask kids just a simple question: have you been bullied?
Yeah, so the have you been bullied, so that is, with females it's 47%. With boys, it's 36%.
So girls more again.
And when I started this 9 years ago, I began to realize that girls are the ones that probably are out there bullying the most. But we also asked the question.
That's true.
Do you think bullying is an issue at your school? 65% of young ladies said yes, 51% of young men. When we did it in 2016, it was about 23 to 27%.
So it's growing. Do you think it's growing because of social media?
I think because just even a couple years ago, maybe the average age a child was using a phone was age 12. Now it's down to age 10. So I think there are a myriad of reasons. And keep in mind, what we have right now is just kind of a snapshot based off about 500 kids.
Sure.
And it'll change over time. But I think basically we're kind of where I think things are going to be.
Now this kind of brings parents into what is being allowed. Are kids allowed to take the device into their bedrooms overnight? What'd you hear?
Nothing drives me more crazy than that. So 77% of girls are allowed to, and 73% of boys. To me, it's the biggest mistake a parent can make. Well, the overwhelming majority of inappropriate photographs take place in your home, usually in a child's bedroom. But then you look at how late children are using those devices. It's 12, 1, 2, 3, at 4 o'clock in the morning. And every school I've been in, whether it's a middle school or whether it's a high school, 70% or thereabouts of children are allowed to bring it into the bedroom, and most of those kids are using that phone well into the evening.
Yeah, and that can't be good for their health. Last, we want to touch on pornography. You asked how prevalent is viewing of pornography among students in your school, and this is pretty scary.
Yeah, for girls it was 47%. Now, so the question really was, do you think it's an issue? Do you think it's prevalent?
Okay.
So 47% of girls said yes, 59% of boys said yes.
That is scary to me as a mother.
It is very scary. Now, I believe most kids are good kids and they're not doing things to get in trouble. But the reality is, if you're 13, 14, 15 years old, it's normal for you to want to kind of see what's going on.
But you don't have to sneak into your dad's closet anymore.
No,
it's
you
right.
don't.
It's right here.
That's exactly right. And then what we have on the horizon, and I have a little bit of it on my website, discussion of it. Virtual pornography, and it's a game changer because the child is actually in the movie.
With VR, with virtual reality.
Yeah.
I know you asked about a lot more issues,
Yes.
and people can read about it on A Wired Family.
On awiredfamily.org.
Okay, awiredfamily.org. Steve, thank you so much.
Oh, thank you.
It's
Appreciate
always
it.
good to
Thanks,
see
Sheila.
you. We'll be right back.